Saturday afternoon, and I know there's no better place you'd rather be than right here at Sleepm, right?
That's right.
Do you guys realize I've been here 8 months, and I only missed one Saturday? That's because I was somewhere else doing money-making activity. And do you realize I've done a daily call every single day except 1 week, and I had a semi-emergency going on then, but I did a call every single day since the new year began. The biggest part of what we do is following through on what we start. I can't stress how important that is for all of us. Follow through on what you start. I wasn't always that way. I know what it's like to start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. I've done it so many times. I remember one day, I came home one day after leaving a big event, because I always showed up at all these big events, always got invites. Looked like, I don't know, was I gullible or what? But looked like I was always attracted to network marketing people. They would find me some kind of way, and I always wound up showing up. And I remember leaving this big rally one day, and I get home that day and I take a long look at myself in the mirror. And I ask myself one important question. Why me? Why does it appear as if everybody is experiencing success but me? It was a tear-jerking moment when I realized what the problem was. Why me? I get involved in all these different businesses, and I can't even take my family out to dinner with the money that I earn. What you guys think about that? That was a aha moment for me. I'm sick and tired of getting involved in these different businesses and not making money. I said, it's not just about me, but what about my family? My family look at me, and I'm in and out of all these programs, and they said, what in the world are you doing, Al? You're wasting all the household money on this pie in the sky. You ain't gonna make no money at that. And that's what everybody started telling me. And I almost believed them. And I'm gonna tell you where my wake-up moment was. See, I lived in Hawaii before, and I always say I was always almost there. I lived in Hawaii, and I used to go for a jog every single day. And I'd be in the midst of multi-million-dollar homes. And I used to ask myself every day, I wonder what that person is doing. Beautiful house. I jog a few blocks further. Wow, nice car. I wonder what that person is doing for a living. And it was obvious that they weren't doing what I did, because I wasn't making no money. I left Hawaii and I moved to Beverly Adjacent. Anybody know where Beverly Adjacent is? Those are the Beverly Hills wannabes. I was close, but not quite there. I wasn't quite there. But every Sunday, I take my Bollywood princess for a drive down Mulholland Drive. Anybody know where Mulholland Drive is? That was my Sunday afternoon dream moment. I go dreaming every Sunday afternoon. And I'm amazed that my wife tolerated and put up with me. But I go for that drive. I go for this drive one day. I came across a house. It was so big. I had to stop the car, put it in park, and turn it off. And I reclined my seat. Because this house was bigger than most of the hotels I'm used to staying at. I'm used to staying at the places that leave the light on at night for you. You guys know what I'm talking about. Charlie know what I'm talking about. He done stayed at some of the places too. Look, but I recline my seat and I'm sharing with my wife about what kind of staff we need to maintain the place. I'm sharing with her about the swimming pools and the waterfalls in the back. And then I'm also sharing with her about the cars that's going to be in my garage. Ronnie is not a car type of girl. So those was going to be my cars in the garage. Then she woke me up. She reminded me that I was only making $2,600 per month. Ouch, that hurts. I was at the peak of my military career, and I was only earning $2,600 a month. Again, one of those tear-jerking moments. I'm like, man, I got 19 plus years here, and I'm only making $2,600 a month. Something's wrong with that picture. I was 36 years old, and I'm saying, man, boy, have time flew. But I made a decision that day that I was going to do something different. And I made that commitment not only to myself, I made a commitment to my family that they deserved more than what I had given them. And I made that decision that day that I was going to do something big. I'll never forget, I took a trip back to Hawaii. I was bugging the heck out of my wife, and she said, why don't you just take a vacation or something? I took a trip to Hawaii by myself. My wife had given me one check in case of an emergency. And I remember somebody invited me to an opportunity meeting. And I'm saying, here I am broke. I got 19 years in the military. I don't have no money to start no business at all. I had some degrees, but they wasn't exactly sizzling hot. But I did have some degrees, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I guess you could say I'm still trying to find myself. But one thing I did do all the time I was in the military, I went to school, and I went to school, and I went to school. I used up all my benefits and some while I was in the military. But here's what, I said, man, I got invited to this opportunity meeting that night, and one side of me was telling me, don't go. And the reason I didn't want to show up, I knew what my track record had been like. I'm the guy who started and stopped everything. I didn't really want to show up that night because I didn't really want to find out had I broken that cycle of just being a quitter. But I showed up that night. I pulled out my wallet and I wrote a check for $195. And that was the beginning of something special for me. I didn't even call home and share with my wife what I had done, because I knew what she was going to say. She'd seen my track record. She gonna say, oh no, Al, not another one. I gave you that check for an emergency. Is that really an emergency? That's exactly what she would have said. So I did not utter a sound. I got busy and I said, you know what? I'm going to, before I get on that plane and go back home, because I know I'm going to hear it from my wife. And I know some of you saying, $195, Al, and you had to get permission from your wife? That was a lot of money back then off a $2,600 a month paycheck. It's a lot of money. And so I got involved in this business. And I worked and I worked and I worked. I never forget, I said, Lord, if I could just replace my income, I'll never ask you for anything else. then I finally replaced my income. And then I remember going back and said, Lord, if I can just make $5,000 a month, I'd be so happy. $5,000 a month. That means that I would have ventured someplace I'd never gone before. My paycheck hit $5,000 a month, and I had never, ever ventured into that zone, ever. I want you to imagine that. Do you remember your first time you hit a certain goal and your paycheck had never gone there before? It's a great feeling, isn't it? Then I go back and I said, Lord, if I could just make $10,000 a month, I won't ask you for anything else. All I hit $10,000 a month. Then I hit $15,000 a month. And I said, Lord, I lied. If I could just get $20,000 a month. Because my mind kept expanding and expanding and expanding. And I tell you what, it was a great feeling knowing that before I left the military, I was earning more money than my general. That was a great feeling. Matter of fact, I was so famous, I was on the front cover of magazines. I was in the centerfold of magazines. And the word got out that Sergeant Powell already know how he's going to take care of his family. Let's make his life difficult. So all of a sudden the word went out for nobody to speak to me in the unit. Nobody could talk to me. They said, we're going to take disciplinary actions on you guys if you're caught in that pyramid deal with Sergeant Powell. All of a sudden, everybody want to make my life miserable. And I just kept cranking. Because I truly believe the best revenge is what?
Massive success.
Massive success. I said, I'm going to blow the doors off this thing. Then all of a sudden, when I had my retirement party, I tell my secretary, I said, you know what? At first, I didn't even want a retirement party. I was so angry at everybody. Because I was doing something. And I was doing something meaningful. I was providing for my family in a way that I've never had done before. But if everyone was not happy for me, and I never forget, I had a going away party and I charged $20 per head. Because I said, well, I don't want this to be your typical retirement party. People forced to show up at my retirement party and they really don't want to be here. I charged $20 a head. And we had standing room only. And I did an opportunity presentation that night. And not a soul left that room. And they were so happy. A minute of them later joined me. Secretly, they didn't let nobody know they was in the deal with me though. I'm saying this, guys, because I've been where you are if you haven't experienced a lot of success in network marketing. It's not easy. It's not easy. Really, it's not. The only reason I didn't got away with this all these years is because my wife worked right alongside me. Can you believe Ronnie and I have been in business together for 34 years. We've been working together in business. Think about this. I've seen so many relationships break up over the years because the husband excited about the business and the wife is at home blowing up his phone. Where you at? When you coming home? And vice versa. I've seen it over and over. My wife can't complain at because she's with me. She can't complain whatsoever. Sometimes I got to remind her, hey, it's midnight. Can we go home and go to bed? So what I'm saying is I want to encourage all of you. I always like to break this down. Today we recognizing people about hitting certain milestones in their business. I want to just say this. The way I look at this, the smallest unit of success in this business is a 3-star. 3-star. Who's a 3-star here today? If you're a 3-star, stand up. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You have to experience the smallest unit of success in order to even think about getting the 4-star, the 5-star, the 6-star, the 7-star. You gotta start with bite-sized pieces. And if you can't just go for that and do that, you're not gonna make it. You're not. But I can tell you right now, every single one of you are on an equal playing field. What if I told you I'm no better at this than you are? The only difference between me and some of you in the room is that I got started before you, and now you multiply my efforts times 2. So there's 2 of us. So then when you put in the number of hours, I don't watch the clock. Who cares if I done been up for 12 hours, 14 hours, 20 hours? Who cares? I'm paying my price. Success comes with a price, doesn't it? How many of you are willing to pay your price? How many of you truly believe that you could make $100,000 over the next 12 months? How many of us believe that we could make $200,000 over the next 12 months? How many of us really believe it? Go out and get what's rightfully yours. It's here for the taking for those who want it. All of us can make money at this. Every single one of us. But you have to have a certain level of commitment. It comes with commitments. And you have to be consistently consistent with what you're doing. Don't start, stop. I've been there. It's not fun. I've been there. And I know what it's like to try to do a dozen things at one time, and I wound up doing nothing good. I've been there. That's why running, we could probably split up our time and say, hey, Ronnie, you go work this business. I'll work the Sleepm business over here. But I know if we're working together, we're going to get there much faster. It's about collapsing time and speeding it up. I'm on the clock. I don't have 10 years to make my millions here. I don't have 5 years to make my millions here. I'm getting older. Some of y'all look at me and say, hey, Al, we know. It shows. I'm like, okay, y'all can be nice to me. Come on. Look at Two-Row. She giving me a hard time. I think I done aged probably 2 years since I stood up on this stage. Do you realize, guys, I don't even like speaking in front of the room. I get butterflies every time I get in front of a room with more than 10 people. I get butterflies. The only difference now is that they tend to fly in formation now. But I remember, I'm going to tell this story and we're going to move on. And probably some of you guys who know me, you know every time I get in front of the room, it's just a series of stories. I always say the best storyteller would make the most amount of money. I'm a storyteller. That's what I am. Now, I remember years ago, running out, we driving down to an opportunity presentation. We get into a fight about who's going to do the presentation. She didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I said, well, if you're not going to do it and if I'm not going to do it, how in the world are we going to make any money? We were both scared to death to do the presentation. You see, this is about stepping outside your comfort zone. No one feels comfortable doing certain things, especially when it's new to you. And I can tell you right now, I can remember my first day here. I remember sitting, the chairs was turned the opposite way, facing me. But I remember sitting right here, Ronnie was there, I was sitting here, and we were right on the front row. Ronnie was taking notes. And I said, I just better listen, otherwise I'm gonna miss something. And I came week after week after week. And a lot of weeks, guess what? It was just the two of us in the room. So I pretended that Ronnie was my guest, and she would pretend that I was her guest sometimes. You see what I'm saying? And that's what kept us going week after week after week, instead of turning into a carpet kicker or floor kicker. You know what you know what I'm talking about? Some people, they show up and they press across the floor. It's all darn it. They promised me they was coming. Where are they? They promised me they was coming, but they're not here. They promised, and they're not here. We all been through that, right? Guys, go through the numbers. This is a numbers game. We're never going to run out of people. This is Southern California. Is there enough people to go around? There's plenty to go around, right? We shouldn't be calling the same old person 100 times trying to get them to come to the opportunity meeting. We don't have to. Get new people. GNP. Let me hear you say GNP. Can I hear you say it? Act like you mean it. GNP. You know what GNP stands for, right? Get new people. That's what it's all about. The whole business is about new people. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so happy that we have the leadership here. I want to thank Ms. Emma for being a great leader, you know, over the past 8 months that I've been here. And I'm sure she's a great leader even before then, because some of you guys were here, you know, even before, and you're happy as can be. I see y'all coming here, you know, big smile on your face. Also, I want to thank Laura. We want to hear from Laura. Where is she, by the way? Where is Laura? You know, when I first got started, you know, I had a lot of questions, lots of questions. And I know I drove training crazy. I drilled. I had so many questions. I didn't know anything, and I was wondering if there was any hope for me at all. I remember one night, I go out with Laura for a bite to eat. And because I'm asking questions and questions and questions, and I remember she sitting down. Do you guys know what a napkin presentation is? Yeah. Laura was talking so fast. And she pulled out the napkin, slid the napkin over, and she got a pen, and she was writing, she's drawing circles. And I said, wow, that's my lingo. I'm used to reading these circles and stuff. I've been doing it for 30 years, drawing circles. I say, Laura say, that's the kind of language this guy like. He liked these circles. So she's sitting there drawing circles and stuff and talking away. And I was just nodding my head. So she got me to nod my head. And so I'm nodding my head because I was too embarrassed to tell her I didn't understand anything. I was too embarrassed to tell her. Then I walked out of there that night and the napkin happened to get wet. And so when I go to try to open the napkin up again, it fell apart. So now I didn't even have the blueprint anymore. So then I remember coming in the following week, so Ronnie run over to Mr. Lee. And she trying to get some clarity on these circles and stuff that Laura was drawing. And then so Ronnie talked to Mr. Lee, then she come back and translate to me. Even though Mr. Lee was speaking in English, Ronnie felt as though she needed to translate it to me. So when she translated me, I still didn't understand a thing. And I'm saying, wow. I said, I hope we can figure this thing out soon, because I'm going to run out of money if I keep on going like this. I said, you know, but this is what we have to do.